ask a quick question, get a quick answer. I pull a card in this and I just get a feeling. My card of the year literally leapt out of the deck at me to be like, hi, it's loud. It tells you its opinion with a quickness. We're not worried about all of this. We're worried about the important stuff. Pride, celebration, achievement. Done. Hello everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome back to Tarot Magpie. I hope you're doing all kinds of good. Today I am bringing you decks that read quickly, speedy readers, if you will. I don't remember what prompted me thinking about this, but I was thinking about how some decks are kind of grab and go, really easy to read on the fly, or when you've just got a few minutes and you want something kind of straight to the point and quick and punchy. And then I have some decks that are definitely like slow readers you want to spend more time with. Maybe you want to keep the reading out and mull it over days, weeks, whatever. Today I'm doing the quick readers. I'm going to do another video with my like slow take your time readers. Unsurprisingly, that one is taking a little longer for me to kind of pull together in my head, which I think is very fitting. But anyway, I'm going to take you through, I think I've got 10 maybe, I don't know, I can't count. I've got an amount of decks that are my favorites for like go-to reliable decks without guidebooks are pretty good for this. Straightforward Rider Waite Smith clones are pretty good for this. Or, you know, I know Rider Waite Smith, so that's the case for me. These are decks that don't need too much thought, that just kind of give me their messages. A lot of them are decks where I pull a card, I turn it over, and I instantly have like keywords pop into my head, or they just evoke some kind of feeling instantly, and it doesn't really take much kind of a thought process. Hear what the cards are saying. So without further ado, I will start with some Rider Waite Smith clones because I feel like I must. I have so many tarot collectibles decks and I am choosing one to share with you. How cool is this bag, by the way? This is one of my favorite judgment cards. This is and there it is on top. Wow, the camera is really kind of not loving the neon. I don't know how this is messing with my white balance. This is the Psychedelic Space Tarot. That would be good information to share, wouldn't it? I have a whole bunch of tarot collectibles decks. They do really fun Rider Waite Smith clones. This one is UV reactive neon colors, so the camera is kind of having a bit of a moment with them. But like, it's a Rider Waite Smith clone. That's a Queen of Swords. That's a King of Swords. That's a Five of Swords. Like, I love this Empress. It's familiar, it's recognizable. I don't need to do a lot of translating in my head because they are like, okay, so this is truly just a 9 of Wands in a spacey outfit. This one, a little bit more liberties have been taken, but you know, you've still got all the basic elements. Tarot collectibles are pretty good like that. Yeah, like, what can I say? It's an easy reader. This one is so fun though. I need to pull this deck out more because, I don't know, I feel like it gets looked over for some of my other tarot collectibles decks, which is not fair because look at these cards. All right, this is another one that is an extremely straightforward clone in the sense that it's literally the line work, only some of the line work. So I like this deck for playing with like negative space. And I will say these decks are all easy, not easy, but like quick readers. That doesn't mean that they don't work for a more in-depth reading. Like, especially this one, I love to look at what is included in the artwork, what is missing from the artwork. Like in these, the people aren't there. You can see the guy's foot, that's it. It's just the symbols of the suit, and like kind of reading into that is fun. This is the color outside the lines version, so there is some color on it, and I feel like that makes it it makes it more recognizable than just the black and white line work, which I do also have that mini deck. But like, it's a Rider Waite Smith, but it's not the Rider Waite Smith imagery. Like, it's not Pixie's artwork. And I do think that like probably for a lot of people, like a Rider Waite Smith might be the fastest read, but at least for me, because I've either studied those cards or Pixie's artwork has just been presented as the tarot with all the symbology for like so long and in so many books, that it doesn't feel like an easy read. It feels like I've got to kind of spot all the symbols and remember what the colors mean and all that kind of thing, which can definitely slow down a reading. So these cards, not so much. I'm like, Oh yeah, Six of Wands. Pride, celebration, achievement. Done. It's not that I don't have to work hard to read. That's not quite what I mean. But I mean, I don't have to have a conversation with these decks. These decks just like give me the answers. We're not having a back and forth. They're not asking me more questions, which is kind of the theme of a lot of the decks that are in the kind of second part of this video, or the follow-up to this video with my like slower readers, where like I will ask the cards a question, I'll pull my cards, and then I feel like they're asking me questions back. And so the reading is a lot more like a conversation, like a discussion. Whereas this is like, I ask a question, I get an answer, we're done. Okay, my third clone that I just wanted to show off quickly because it's Pride Month, and so I'm going to show you my queer tarot. Again, it's a Rider Waite Smith. It's a really easy reader. I really don't need to go into too much detail. It's a Rider Waite Smith clone dressed up in a fun gay outfit for Pride, which, you know, we love to see it. It's easy to read. I know the Rider Waite Smith meanings. I recognize the images as the Rider Waite Smith images. Like if I chopped the titles and the numbers off, which I wouldn't, but if I were to chop the titles off, I would instantly recognize, you know, this is the King of Pentacles, etc. It gives me answers, and it doesn't make me work too hard for them. It's not, you know, playing games with me. It's not playing hard to get with its answers. It's just straightforward. Another speedy reader for me is the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. I have chopped the borders off this one. It's kind of one part Rider Waite Smith clone, one part I've had this deck for so long that I know it like the back of my hand. But I think it's so good as a speedy reader. It's got clear imagery. Again, it's close enough to a clone that I'm like, yeah, that's a Page of Coins. That's the Fool. We've got the dog. He's on a cliff edge. Nine of Coins. Rich bitch in her garden with her bird. Like, you know, it's cloney enough that it's instantly recognizable. It's full of people if you like to see people in your decks, but they don't look super realistic, which I personally find very distracting. I've talked about this a lot. But you know, these are late medieval, maybe? So they don't really look like people. They're like a step removed, that they're decontextualized. They're a step removed from real looking people. So they are kind of a neutral third party. They're an unbiased advisor in my situation. I don't feel like these are people from my context and the context I'm asking questions about, because I've never asked the tarot about medieval things. It's just clear it removes some of the barriers that I have with some decks, where I can just get straight to the answer and straight to the point. And I think it's fantastic for that. It has been re-released or reissued in a linen cardstock, and I'm tempted, but then when I'm not using these under lights, the cardstock is more than adequate. So that is the Golden Tarot. Tarot de El Dios de los Tres. This is, oh, she's talkative, she's punchy. It's punchy, it's punchy, it's bright, it's chatty. It doesn't want to beat around the bush. It just wants to kind of tell you. It is so desperate. Like, I feel like this deck would interrupt me. You know, if this deck was a person, it would be, and I'm guilty of this, it'd be one of those people that like know the question that you're asking as you're asking it, so kind of start answering before you've even finished asking. Like, that's kind of what this deck is. It's a quick reader for sure. It's an easy one to like grab and go. And like, this is another fun one that there's so many different symbols throughout the deck that I absolutely can spend much longer kind of getting into the symbols and trying to make connections with the artwork, which is something I love to do. But this also super works as like a grab and go, give me my answer, and we can both move on with our day kind of a thing. So I don't know why I was so zoomed in. Right, the Horror Tarot. This is another one of those decks where I pull a card and I like instantly get like keywords in my brain. And you know, they do the job, they answer the question, I get my quick answer. I will say I have conflicting feelings about keywords as a general rule, but they're useful, and I definitely do have keywords that I associate with all of the cards. And this is one of those decks where I just want like, ask a quick question, get a quick answer, pull some cards, get some keywords. It makes sense. Good. This is also really fun, but that is beside the point. This is a year-round deck for me. I love Abigail Larson's art style. I think she's illustrating a vampire tarot deck, which I absolutely will be getting my hands on as soon as humanly possible, because I bloody love a vampire. And oh god, this Ten of Swords is so good. I love a vampire, I love her art style. That was a tangent. The courts in this are odd, I will say, but yeah, like, I really like this as a 2 of wands, like, looking into the future. Anyway, the Horror Tarot. This is the second punchy pink deck in this video. Oh, do you know what? This is what inspired this video. So I was in the comments chatting to Kelly of Kelly Bear, who had commented on the video that I did where I was like lamenting the decks that I'm currently ignoring in my collection. And in one of them, I was ignoring the Eldritch Overload in favor of this because aesthetically they're very similar. So at that time, when I wanted this kind of deck to look at, this was the one I was reaching for because it's like new and shiny. I was saying that aesthetically they're very similar, but like this is a good grab and go. Like it's got that kind of pippish nature to the minors where you can just kind of ask a quick question, get a quick answer. I feel like it's good at that. Whereas the Eldritch Overload, because I've got that lovely big guidebook, I can definitely spend more time with it. I can definitely spend more time kind of investing in the lore of the world in that deck and using that to help like flesh out the reading. And you know, it's just a different reading experience. And that is what inspired this video and the next one I'm going to do about like slow readers and quick readers. That's the backstory to this video. And yeah, it's pippish in the minors. The majors are varying degrees of recognizable. A lot of them have a lot of the symbols that we're used to seeing, like this is our high priestess with the pomegranates, with the crescent moon, with her crown headdress. Like, you know, we got a beetle instead of the dog. Like it's recognizable enough if you were looking to recognize the majors, which I'm not always, but it's there. And then it's a bit more pippish in the minor cards. I love this Six of Cups so much. And I do think that the kind of punchy colors lend themselves well to a quick reading because it kind of hits you over the head visually speaking. Visually speaking? That feels like an oxymoron. Anyway, you get my drift, I hope. It's loud. It tells you its opinion with a quickness. That is the Zeke's Arcana. All right, the Deviant Moon Tarot. So when I said at the beginning of this video that a lot of these are decks that I instantly get like a keyword or a feeling, the Horror Tarot, I pull a card and keywords pop into my brain. I pull a card in this and I just get a feeling. And a lot of these cards are a little bit uncomfortable. I know a lot of people don't like this artwork. I think a lot of the imagery definitely lends itself well to kind of slightly more shadowy work, but like, oh, this Three of Wands with the umbilical cord, like this is, I love the details in this deck. And that's the thing. I pull a card, I get like an instant kind of feeling, and that's my answer. But also I can then spend more time with this and look at all the details and look at the kind of take on the card, because like I say, a lot of these are a little bit gloomier, a little bit more shadowy. I don't tend to read upright and reversal. I just take into account what makes sense for the question that I'm asking. But this one is really cool for looking at the details and looking at the particular take on the card. But I can also just grab and go with this deck. This is one of my favorite Six of Pentacles cards. I don't like the interpretations that are all like, ooh, it's sharing and charity, because I'm like, that's simplistic in my view. It's not very balanced. This card is like the opposite. It's kind of the antidote to like all the sharing Six of Pentacles cards, and this is like somebody who is like, it really shows that power dynamic at play in the Six of Pentacles. I love it so much. So Deviant Moon, a really good, really quick reader. It's just the skill of the artwork. Even without looking at the details and like really thinking about it, you get kind of just a gut feeling of what the card is about and what the card is telling you. And then, like I say, you can choose to look into it a little bit. Oh, this is such a good Nine of Swords. You can choose to look into it a little bit deeper if you want to. You can choose to look into the details, or you can just take that like initial message and go. The Morgan Greer, I nearly forgot about the Morgan Greer when I was thinking about decks for this video. This is one of the clearest, most straight to the point decks in my collection, to the point where I was looking at this in the shop and my card of the year literally leapt out of the deck at me to be like, hi. I think I've said it before, but the kind of close-up nature, like a lot of the people, you don't get full body images, you just get kind of more of this like portrait style, like it's quite zoomed in. It's like, we're not worried about all of this, we're worried about the important stuff. And this deck it's punchy, it's a little bit rude, but sometimes, you know, the truth hurts a little bit. Like, you know, when people are like, oh, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, I'm just brutally honest, and usually those are people that are just trying to hurt your feelings, whereas this deck is it's like a facts don't care about your feelings kind of deck. It's like, it's going to tell you the truth because that's the answer to the question. And like you asked. So it's just iconic. The Morgan Greer, the fifth spirit. This is another deck for me that is like, I can absolutely pull this out for a quick answer to a quick question. I can also absolutely spend a really long time with it. This is a deck that I like to take out and about with me a lot. So if I'm going out and about in a situation where I might interact with other people, I usually bring a deck with me with the consideration that if I end up reading for people, it needs to be a deck that I can do kind of on the fly readings with. And this is a deck that usually ends up in my bag for that reason, because I absolutely can just pull cards and get the gist, and that's my answer. Their artwork is so good. It's very, I want to say simple, not in a, I'm not trying to insult it and say it that the artwork is simple so it's not got depth to it, because that's not what I think. It does have depth to it. Just in terms of the components of the composition, it's quite simple artwork. There's probably a better word. There's definitely a better word than simple, but I hope you know what I mean. And I think that lends itself to a kind of quick read because like you just get the gist. It just gives you the gist. We don't have the whole scene. We have, you know, our figure sitting down in the window. We don't need the whole scene. This is a sharing Six of Pentacles. This is one of the cards I don't like in this deck. I think it's literally this and the Devil are the only cards in this deck that I don't like. Point being, it's a straightforward read. It can be a more complicated, not complicated, but it can be a kind of deeper reading where I really pull out all the connections between the cards and things, but it can also be just a like grab and go sort of a reader. So that is the fifth spirit. And then finally, I actually have an Oracle deck. So this was supposed to be just, you know, tarot decks for quick tarot readings, but this is kind of an honorary mention because this is a bit of an archetypes kind of a deck, and I really like using this with tarot, and I find that when I do use this deck with tarot, it really helps just clarify the reading, and it really helps to kind of direct the reading and really streamline it. It also, you know, it has this guidebook with some really cool stuff in it, and you can totally do like a more involved process with this deck. It's very versatile, but yeah, you can absolutely streamline a tarot reading with this deck, I find. Maybe it's to do with the keywords, but then I don't think that of every Oracle deck with keywords. And I also don't think it's just purely an archetype thing, because I now have the Wild Unknown Pocket Archetypes deck, which is obviously an archetypes deck, and I don't find that that has the same impact on a tarot reading of like cutting out the noise and streamlining the reading. That's definitely one of the reasons why I think this deck is very cool. And like I say, it really does, it does a good job of just cutting through all the extra, because I think as tarot readers, once you're familiar with the system, once you've read a lot of books or worked with a lot of decks or just spent a lot of time kind of learning the nuances of each card, there can sometimes be a lot of noise, like you're doing a reading and all you can see all the different associations. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky to get to the point. Oh, the waker and the sleeper right next to each other, that's cool. Yeah, this deck helps get you to the point of the reading instead of, especially if you've got like a squirrel brain like me, you're like, oh, that means that, and oh, this is a connection, and then it's like, okay, but that's not relevant. Like, calm down, stay on track. This deck helps to like guide the reading a little bit. So that is the Citadel Oracle. So that is all the decks I wanted to share with you today, all of my speedy readers. Like I said, there is a follow-up to this coming with all of my tarot decks that are good for like a meatier reading. When you want to spend a lot of time, you want to really get into it, you really do want to get into those connections and like pull out different threads. I've got lots of decks that are like that. But this was my quick and easy, grab and go, straight to the point kind of decks video. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know if you have different experiences with any of these decks, because I think that's really just interesting. Also, if you're like a Thoth or a Marseille reader primarily, like, do you have equivalents? Like, just like the Thoth or like a traditional Marseille? Is that the equivalent to like a Rider Waite Smith clone? Let me know, I'm interested. I do hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking with me. Give me a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.